Welcome to the Wiser Wealth Management Roundtable, where we believe the best financial advice is always free of all conflicts of interest. I'd like to thank our listeners today for listening to our podcast. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please subscribe to us. I'm Brad Lyons, and with me is Matthews Barnett. Casey Smith is away, so it'll just be the two of us today. Matthews, how are you?
Doing well. How's it going?
Doing well, thank you. You know, as we thought about putting together this podcast, I thought that one of the things that you and I have a great deal in common is that we both have earned our Certified Financial Planner certificate. And it occurs to me also that as the CFP Board puts together these awareness campaigns to help the public understand what a Certified Financial Planner is and how to engage with one to get financial advice, that it might be an idea for you and I to explain a little bit about what the Certified Financial Planning Certificate is, how to get one, why it's in their best interest, our listeners' best interest, to seek out a Certified Financial Planner, how we went about doing it, what it means to you and I to be a Certified Financial Planner, and what it means to this firm to hire Certified Financial Planners to serve our clients. So Matthews, why don't you tell us a little short story about how you came about your decision to become a certified financial planner?
Yeah, so I got in the financial services industry in 2012. Kind of learned a little bit more at that point, kind of what the CFP was. You know, it's kind of held to a higher standard than just the, financial advisor where you take maybe a few tests here and there, maybe study for 3 weeks or something. But this is really more detailed and a lot more, analytical type skills from the planning side of things. There's other ways that you can look at just investment analysis. But I really wanted to focus on just getting a better education and just having those credentials, especially starting out in the industry at my age. Wanted to, not let age be a factor there and really not only just have those designations, but have that experience and that knowledge. So that was when I tried to study for the exam, back in 2016. I passed the exam in July because I believe they only offer it two or three times during the year maybe, and that was the summer segment. So I passed that in July 2016 and then was certified officially after all my documentation at the end of August of 2016. So had it for close to 5 years or so now, but it's a long, lengthy process, but I'm glad I did it.
You know, you mentioned a couple things that I thought was things that I thought about as well, and I'm sure most applicants would think. But I like that you talked a lot about the education, because there's a tremendous amount of academic rigor involved in getting a certified financial planner certificate. And you also talked about how, as a younger person, that utilizing the CFP coursework gave you a boost of experience, early on in your career.
Right.
That when you were sitting in front of clients, you were able to bring this experience with you, even though you may be younger than they were at the time.
Yeah,
so,
it's not just a designation, some credentials. I mean, you learn some good knowledge behind it as well. So
absolutely. Now, I came out of the institutional investment consulting world, and in that delivery system, if you will, of investment consulting advice, I was working with pensions, foundations, and endowments, and working with boards who were tasked with managing money on behalf of the pensioners or the organization or the university. But they only meet occasionally. Decision-making is a very different sort of scenario in the institutional world than it is in the individual world. And I found myself thinking, I want more client engagement. I want to be more intimately involved with our clients and making recommendations to them to better their situation financially. So while I was an institutional investment consultant, I studied for the CFP myself. Passed the exam, went through all the coursework, etc., went through the whole process of getting, the CFP, and then began looking for a firm that I wanted to apply my new craft to and through, and ended here. And I'll share a little bit about that story a little later. I recognize that anybody that I meet today who's a certified financial planner, there's an immediate, recognition of what we've each gone through, to achieve this. And I'm very proud of mine, and I'm sure that you're very proud of yours as well. So as we're preparing for this, what does the Certified Financial Planner Board say about the Certified Financial Planner Program? Well, here's what they say. The certification is the standard of excellence in financial planning. CFP professionals meet rigorous education, training, ethical standards, and are committed to serving their clients' best interests today to prepare them for a more secure tomorrow. And I like the way that they put that. Okay, the client's best interest today to prepare them for a more secure tomorrow. What that means, to me at least, is that when we engage with our clients and we're providing financial recommendations and advice to them, it starts today, but it continues hopefully for many, many, many years as we see the plan come to fruition and we watch our clients and help our clients and work with our clients to achieve their goals and objectives. And that's very satisfying. The program for certified financial planners has been around now since 1985. Prior to that, it was more loosely knit organizations, but it became more of the CFP Board took over in 1985. And to date, there are somewhere in the neighborhood of 90,000 CFP professionals working on behalf of clients.
That's a significant increase. It was good to see that, there's a lot of financial advisors that are CFPs out there now. That number wasn't that large even a few years ago.
No, it wasn't. The profession of being a certified financial planner is expanding tremendously. I know it's offered through different colleges and universities now, and that's a good thing. Teaching younger people about managing money and that the fact that there's a career path for those who want to help others manage money is something that's very gratifying as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it's part of Georgia's program now, through not part of Terry, but through Housing Consumer Econ. They've got a big financial planning school there. I wasn't even aware of it at the time through college, but now they're really marketing it well and having that as not only your major, but kind of starting out in that profession outside of just the finance side of things.
Yes, I've seen that. My daughter goes to University of Georgia, so I've looked at that program. And they offer scholarships as well to create a little more diversity in this profession. They offer scholarships to women, to people of color, people of need, in order to broaden the base of financial planners, to broaden the larger economic base in society itself. To get the Certified Financial Planner Certificate really consists of 4 steps. Now, there's a great deal of detail within these 4 steps. Basically, you're going to complete the coursework requirement, pass the CFP exam, meet the experience requirement, which we haven't talked about yet, and then you submit to a background check and you agree to certain fitness standards that you will adhere to.
Yep, they call those actually on their website the 4 E's: the education, examination, experience, and ethical side of things. So the 4 E's are part of the overall process in order to get your CFP certification. You mentioned just coursework. Obviously, you have to have a bachelor's degree before you're able to take this coursework. And there's certain programs that the CFP Board has registered through their program. So there's a few different ways that you can take them, but they all cover the same educational coursework of 6 main foundational courses. You have the fundamentals of financial planning. Then you go through risk management. That's all sorts of risk management and insurance. Retirement planning, estate planning, income planning, and then the investment side of things. I know each was very rigorous, but they're all very different. I don't know about you, Brad. I mean, I thought income planning was probably the hardest for me, and then estate planning probably number 2. Just a lot of numbers in there and a lot of different scenarios that you didn't run into as often, just being on the overall financial planning side of things previously.
Well, there is quite a bit of academic rigor here, and I took mine through a course at a university here in the Atlanta area. Now, there are different ways for different individuals to go through this coursework. I found that, the fundamentals of financial planning was a very interesting course. It was a little broader. It brought in many aspects, so it almost felt like it was the last course, but it was actually the first course because it took into a concept, investments and tax, retirement. I found tax to be very difficult, quite frankly.
I did too, and I was actually very happy when the CFP Board allowed you to have a cheat sheet on the exam of actual brackets, so you didn't have to memorize that. That was one of the hardest parts, having to remember exact brackets during a timed exam. That wasn't easy.
Yeah. But, individuals each find their own way to do this academic coursework. You can do self-study. You can do it online now, of course. You can find a classroom environment. I needed the cohort around me. I needed a group of individuals with the professor standing up front. I went to Oglethorpe University. It was one of the oldest CFP courses around. It was offered through their Adult Learning Center at the time. There were 16 people that started in the course. By the time it finished, there was 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and 2 passed the CFP exam. So it's not a given that just because you start, you're going to finish. It took quite a bit of work. I did it in, I think, 27 months, start to finish.
That's about, I think they're usually about close to 2 years.
Yeah.
I did the self-study actually through the American College, and it took about that long, start to finish. At the time, actually, my roommate was in med school and trying to become a specialty, so he was always lock himself in the room studying, and I come home from work and realize there's probably some extra studying or some certification I could really get. So for those 2 years, I really grinded it out through self-study program through the American College. You mentioned Oglethorpe in Georgia has a good program. I know Texas A&M. So there's a lot of schools that offer these as educational programs and majors, as well as the self-study programs.
In each coursework, before you can move on to the next one, you have learning checkpoints. So we had exams, midterms, quizzes all along the way. And before you could move from one class to the next, you had to pass the first one, right?
Right. Did you have to do we had to do a kind of a case study at the end, a full-on comprehensive plan?
Yeah, we called it a capstone.
Capstone class, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had to actually present it to somebody. I mean, I did it, via computer online to someone on the CFP board who had agreed to act on behalf of the CFP board, and then it was graded, and then it was sent back to me later on as what I scored on it.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, so it was a very interesting thing. I sat at my dining room table and did that. It was a little before this time when we do so much on Zoom. And GoToMeeting.
That was a big deal then.
That sure was, absolutely. And then the exam. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So the exam, you mentioned that all the requirements to go even to sit for the exam. Then you got to take the exam. It can be pretty brutal. It's usually taken at a testing center. During the pandemic, I believe they actually allowed you to do it virtually with cameras that can make sure that you weren't cheating. But usually it's taken at a testing center. And it's a grind. It's 170 questions, multiple choice, but they're not just easy A, B, C, D questions. They're very detail oriented, and they all take a long time to think through. It used to actually be a 2-day test. Now they've crammed it into a 1-day, almost 7-hour exam. It's 2 different sections, a 3-hour plus first section, a little break, and then another 3-hour session. So it's definitely a grind. I don't know what you did to study for it. I did a Kenzan, was a exam prep. So that was very useful. After you've already kind of gotten the knowledge and ready to sit for the exam, on kind of some specifics of ways that you might be able to take the exam a little better. You mentioned just the rigor that goes into studying this. Just because you've taken the coursework to sit for this doesn't mean you're pass. I mean, the pass rate's still very low. So you really have to understand how to take this exam. It's kind of like the CPA exam or maybe a law degree in order to sit for theirs. So it definitely takes a lot of time learning all the specifics of everything.
Yeah, I went to a Kenzan course as well. It was a week-long course. I took it in Chicago because it was offered at that point in time, and that gave me just enough time to go through the week's course and then study up on the things that I needed to study after that just before I took the exam. So that Kenzan course was like drinking from a fire hose. I'll tell you what, they came at you from minute one. We sat down at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, and we took an exam.
And then studied again.
Oh, my goodness. I remember one day sitting there at lunch, and the teacher said, "Brad, are you going to go?" I said, "No, I'm just going to sit here a little bit. I am just absolutely worn out from all these exams." And I was at that point thinking, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into?
Exactly. But it'd be tough without something like that. It's not just a self-study. You really need to know how to take this exam.
Yeah, I think that to study for it, I ultimately ended up taking prep tests that I could find online, answering as many questions as I could. I think by the time it was done, I'd answered over 2,500 questions just preparing for those 170 that I was going to
Exactly. You mentioned how broad the category of topics we had to study just to be narrowed down to 170 questions. So it's a lot.
And then after we pass the exam, we have to actually have real life experience before the CFP board is going to actually give us that certificate. And there's a couple different ways to do this through your work. They require 6,000 hours to grant you your certificate after you've passed the exam. 6,000 hours, that's 3 years. That's 3 years of straight employment of working as a CFP. 2,000 hours a year, billable hours, 3 years of understanding your client's personal financial circumstances, identifying and selecting goals for them, analyzing courses of action for them to take, developing a financial planning recommendation, implementing financial planning recommendations, and then monitoring their progress and updating them as needed. All that, 6,000 hours before you're actually going to get the certificate that you can then present yourself as a certified financial planner. That in itself takes a lot, quite frankly. I had several years of experience, I said, in the institutional consulting, and we did a lot of that at an institutional level. So I was able to apply those hours to it. So I began utilizing my credential immediately after I took the exam, which I thought was very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty similar to that, working at the same time. So kind of those 3 years kind of blended into the time when I finished the exam. Other than that, though, you mentioned you're able to take these certification exams right out of college if you've gone through the programs. They can sit for the CFP exam and pass the exam. A lot of times they have to wait a few years after college in order to actually use the marks because they don't have the experience side of things.
Right. They have a separate pathway for individuals like that where they can be tutored or supervised by a CFP. And they can shorten that down to, I think, 4,000 hours or 2 years, worth of experience, where that supervisor actually signs off on these 7 different topics that, that they've had experience in, and after 2 years can use the marks themselves. Right. So, yep. Yeah. So for a younger person, you can get your CFP. You can then, work for 2 years under the tutelage of a CFP professional, get your marks, and become a certified financial planner.
Yeah, it's been great for a profession and advancing this as actual career, not just the sales side of financial advising, but financial planning as a career path.
Then after the academic and the experience components are met, there's still a third component to becoming a certified financial planner.
Yeah, so that's the ethical side of things. So it's the fitness standards for ethical behavior. They ask that you have a commitment to high ethical and professional standards. In order to do that, you have to complete ethics declaration and agreement, basically almost like a fiduciary pledge. You have to submit to a background check. And then, as I mentioned, the fiduciary commitment to put your client's interest ahead of your own during the fiduciary oath. So after you've completed the coursework, passed the exam, and have the experience, you still have to go through the ethical component of things. I actually just recertified my CFP exam this week, and you still have to go through the agreement and the contract. You have to do 30 hours of CE credits as well as additional 2 hours of CE ethical credits on top of that. So they really want the ethical side of thing to be a part of this as well.
Now you get to go out in the world and find yourself a job, work with people, helping them achieving their financial goals. There's just a variety of ways to go about doing this, isn't there, Matthews? I mean, you can help people in such a wide variety of ways as a certified financial planner. Why don't you share with us a couple that you know about there?
Yeah, so kind of the designation, funny enough, kind of started with insurance brokers and agents right before, at the time from the investment side, it was really stockbrokers, so it wasn't a big thing. But now it's kind of blended into the whole industry as a whole. You could really be focused on the investment side of things, as I mentioned, as a broker through a wirehouse or through some type of broker-dealer. Through insurance sales, you could be with a big insurance broker, whether that be a captive one or kind of an independent agency. As well as financial planning, overall encompassing financial planning. There's a lot of different firms out there now that focus on financial planning. Outside the financial planning side of things, there's also kind of the investment side of things. You could work through investment consulting, kind of like you used to, Brad, portfolio management, which we also do here at a firm, but a lot of different ways that you could apply the CFP designation from the investment side, planning side, or other sales side. So it is although you're a CFP, there are very broad ways that you can utilize them.
Absolutely. There's many different ways as you find comfortable. It's for a professional looking for, to apply their profession. It's really important to look for a work environment that, supports the way you want to do your work. You mentioned insurance sales and investment sales. These are commission-based environments. Okay, when you're working with your clients, you're getting paid through a commission when they purchase investment products and services from you. There's fee-based work environments where, as you're working with clients, you are being compensated through a mixture of fees and commissions. And then there's fee-only work environments. Fee-only means that you're only compensated by billing your clients for the advice that you give them. There's no other revenue stream associated with that advice as well.
And that's actually probably the smallest portion of the work environment, as you mentioned. Commission-based are usually insurance-type brokers, and kind of most of the world's going away from that. But there's a lot of fee-based out there. Fee-only is the smaller side of things. At Wiser Wealth Management, we are a fee-only firm. There are some good ways that you can find CFP pros. You can go to cfp.net, find a CFP professional. But as we mentioned, there's a lot of different ways that CFPs provide their businesses and their services. So we actually believe in the fee-only side of things. So in order to find fee-only CFP professionals, you can go to napfa.org, napfa.org, and find not only CFPs, but fee-only CFPs.
Here at Wiser Wealth, we are a fee-only financial planning and wealth management firm. We act as a fiduciary in every recommendation we make to our clients. The only revenues our firms have is from the fees we charge to our clients for the services we provide to them. We have no other source of revenues and therefore no other conflicts of interest. Really, it's a matter of trust. Unless people already know us or may have been referred to us, people looking for financial advice as conflict-free need to find a firm that they can trust to do that, because that's all we offer is trust. And the way to look for a firm, as you said, is through NAPFA. You can look for a firm online. You have to find a firm that you trust, and the way to do that is to look to the way that it's structured. The structure promotes the trust. For example, we are an independent, fee-only financial planning firm offering our services as a fiduciary. We have no affiliations with any other firm that might persuade us to provide certain products and services to our clients that provide a stream of revenue. We have no revenue sharing agreements with any outside firm. We hire and employ skilled service workers, certified financial planners, and we act as a fiduciary in every recommendation that we make. So it's really the structure of our firm that promotes trust that our clients can feel when they walk in and ask us for advice. And I'm proud to say that here at Wiser Wealth, we provide that to our clients. It makes me feel good every day when I go home. Matthews, great talking to you today.
Yeah, enjoyed it, Brad, and enjoyed catching up about some good time studying there.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.